Today I want to talk about jobs. Lately it seems that everyone says they want to talk about jobs, and that we'll get around to tackling jobs next week or the week after. But I'd like to kick off the discussion today, right now, and follow it up with what I plan to do about jobs. Now, I wouldn't be the first to observe that times are tough right now. Our nation is still reeling from the most disastrous economic collapse in a generation. Failed regulatory policies, or really just deregulation, bad lending practices, and Wall Street recklessness all contributed to the current crisis. Double-digit employment for the first time in 25 years. Millions of American families are relying on their unemployment benefits to put food on the table and to pay their rent. Some are looking down at their final unemployment check, wondering what they're going to do next. For every single job opening, there are 6 unemployed workers, and too many people are left without options or hope in this dismal job market. In the fall of 2008, when Wall Street's financial institutions started falling like dominoes, our regulators told us Congress has to pass TARP now, or we face total economic ruin. This really seemed to get Congress moving. It passed the legislation in a matter of days. My feeling is that the American people, especially those folks out of work, need their advocates to say, we have to do this now. Every senator who has heard from their constituents about the depressing job market, about the day-to-day struggles of being unemployed, every senator should be on the floor insisting that we act now. That if we don't act now and act boldly and broadly, Main Street will continue to suffer, and that this unemployment crisis that we're in will just drag on and on. The House has already acted. They passed a robust jobs package last December that provided needed funds to states and localities to keep teachers, firefighters, and police officers on the job, provided funds for public infrastructure projects. These are all vital elements to a successful jobs creation package. In addition to these fundamentals, the Senate has the opportunity to put forward new ideas for job creation. Today, I am introducing my proposal, the SEED Act, Strengthening Our Economy Through Employment and Development, SEED. We've seen cash for clunkers, we've talked about cash for caulkers, and now I'm proposing cash for jobs. The SEED Act is modeled after a program that we used for several years in Minnesota during the recession of the 1980s, and by all accounts, it was extremely successful. Minnesota's program got over 7,400 people back to work in its first 6 months and created nearly 15,000 permanent long-term jobs. And it did that at a much lower cost per job than the stimulus package this body passed last year. The SEED Act will incentivize rapid job creation by offering small and medium-sized companies and nonprofits a direct wage subsidy to hire new workers and expand their operations. Small businesses are the driving force behind our economy. We all know that. And they want to grow. But many of them just need an added infusion of capital since TARP hasn't trickled down to them. Administered on a first-come, first-served basis, these subsidies will provide 50% of wages of newly hired workers and will be dispersed through the already existing Workforce Investment Act system. Using this existing system will minimize the bureaucracy that plagues so many new initiatives. Additionally, employers who hire recently returned Iraq and Afghanistan vets would be eligible for a 60% subsidy. The subsidy would be available for a 12-month period, and the employer would commit to keeping the worker on for an additional 3 months after the subsidized year. This model proved highly effective and efficient in Minnesota. Jim Glowhawkey is one of my constituents, and he used Minnesota's program in the 1980s. After he lost his job, he decided to start his own business. He had few resources and little ability to borrow money. He used Minnesota's program, which is called MEAD, to hire his first 2 employees, and now his company, the JPG Group, employs 17 full-time workers and has an annual payroll of over $800,000. His story epitomizes the incredible potential for this approach to spur job creation. The second component of the SEED Act is to direct grants to states, localities, and tribes to fund green jobs, providing funds to retrofit public buildings. In addition to creating green jobs, these retrofits will increase energy efficiency, decreasing our dependence on foreign oil and saving taxpayers money, because these are public buildings. Too many of our public buildings, public housing, libraries, and schools are becoming outdated and don't utilize the green technologies available today. There are many skilled workers currently on the bench who already have the training they need to immediately get to work on these projects. These new projects will increase demand for energy-efficient windows and doors and heating systems and insulation, providing a boost to our nation's stalled manufacturing sector. Some of you may not know this, but Minnesota is the Silicon Valley of windows. We are home to the nation's leaders in energy-efficient windows, which makes some sense given our winters. Retrofitting public buildings is a win for everyone, for workers, localities, taxpayers, manufacturing, and the environment. This is win, 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 win. Win, I think. Windows, too. If we reallocate $10 billion from the TARP program and pass this proposal into law, we have the potential of creating up to 500,000 jobs, and quickly. Getting people back to work will ease the burden on public benefit programs like unemployment and COBRA subsidies. Many employers will convert their participating workers into permanent employees, setting them up for a long-term career. Minnesotans have stressed to me how efficiently this program worked in our state and that it provides an excellent return on investment. They have worked tirelessly to demonstrate the benefits of this type of bold proposal, and I want to thank them for collaborating with me on this important piece of legislation. More than 50 Minnesota organizations, companies, and chambers of commerce have come out in support, and I ask unanimous consent that a list of these organizations be placed on the record, Mr. President.
Without objection.
Thank you. I urge my colleagues to join me in quickly moving forward on a bill to put Americans back to work. And I urge them to join me in support of the SEED Act, strengthening our economy through employment and development. I ask unanimous consent that the text of my bill be included in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. And I yield the floor.